Tonight, UFC Copenhagen generated $1.6 million US at the gate. 12,767 attendees for a sellout here at the Royal Arena. Bonuses go to John Phillips, OSP, Cannonier, and Jack Shore. We did 4 performance bonuses and no fight of the night. Any questions from the group?
Just down here.
Hi.
Any standout performances? Obviously, you've just said the bonuses tonight. Were there any standout performances that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean the bonuses obviously will dictate the standout performances. I think just generally, in addition to the 4 aforementioned athletes, I think the Marco Matson performance was pretty stellar. Came in, took care of business pretty quickly. Handled his opponent. Remarkably well, and to the delight of the crowd. So I think that's one that definitely stands out. I thought the Daikisi fight with him sort of generating a lot of abuse on Lando's legs right out of the gates. And then other than that, the Kudalaba fight was also pretty dominant. I think at the start, Khalil had a firm advantage, and then Kudalaba had his game plan work out really well, and was ultimately just too much for him to handle. So, I mean, a lot of incredible performances tonight, and the crowd got a treat.
And this is obviously the UFC's second event in Scandinavia. How big?
We've had a few more than 2.
This year.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
with Stockholm.
Yeah.
How big is this market in Scandinavia, and is there any plans of maybe going to other Scandinavian countries?
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, your first question, it's huge. It's one of the most important regions we've got. Our relationship with Viaplay that spans the Scandinavian countries is obviously very important to us. They do a tremendous job building the profiles of our athletes, showcasing the sport in a great way, creating localized content that our fans across the region are dying to see. We will continue to come to Scandinavia as much as we can. I think with the progress that's been made on the amateur side in Norway, paves the way for a potential event at some point down the road when the structure is in place and ready to come. But Sweden, Denmark tonight was great. I mean, we were thrilled. The crowd, we had like 6,000 people in for the first fight, which was incredible. Beautiful facility here at the Royal Arena, and we'll be back again for sure.
And just last one from me. We had 2 Welsh fighters on this card tonight. Mm-hmm. Both came away with the win. Is there any plans of maybe going to Wales in the future? I think we've got about 3 or 4 Welsh fighters on in the roster.
Yeah, I mean, always on the radar. We want to make sure that we always sort of have our flagship event in London, typically every March. It's been a few years since we've been back in Ireland. Wales especially, now with the influx in athletes and the talent level certainly increasing, it definitely made a case. So.
Yeah, hi here. Of course, I'm from Denmark, and I guess a lot of people wondering what will be the next step for Marco Matson. Do you have already some plans for him? Tonight he met an opponent who lost his first fight. Do you know what will be the next thing for him?
To be honest, I don't know yet. I've had a chance to chat with Sean Shelby, who's here, or Dana. I'm not sure what the plans are next. I know he's become very familiar with Las Vegas, training at the UFC Performance Institute, and I think a bit of time at Extreme Couture maybe. So I'm not sure what he wants to do. A lot of it comes down to what the event schedule looks like, what the athlete wants to do, who they want to fight, where they want to fight. But we'll regroup, I think, early next week and start to develop that plan. But one thing's for sure, he's a legitimate, bona fide star in this country. We got it all week. I mean, we've been getting it for months. People asking, when's the UFC going to sign him? It'd be such a boon for the company here in Denmark because of, his pedigree, his athletic achievement across the World Championships and the Olympics, and then, what he's done in his 8-0, now 9-0 career. In mixed martial arts. There's no doubt that he's going to make an impact in the division, and hopefully the stars align and we can get back here with him again because, I'm not sure if I've heard a crowd that loud. The Dalby event and obviously the Marco Matson event, I think, blew the roof off.
Can you say something about Dalby? What do you expect from him and what could be his next fight? He had some knee issues, I know, but if he gets back quick, I mean, what could be next up for him?
Not sure. I mean, we just saw him in the hallway, and he was pretty elated. I'm sure, I don't know, but given the psyche of a lot of athletes, I'm sure given what he's gone through to get that win, probably took a lot of pressure off him. It's probably hugely cathartic for him, and he's probably got this newfound motivation and confidence and drive. I think he was clamoring for December 14th. I think he said that in his post-fight press conference or post-fight interview, potentially against Perry. But who knows? I think that card's pretty busy. But we'll find out. I mean, a lot of these things, get sorted out in the coming days after a live event. It's very rare that we've got a plan that's at least be able to publicly disseminate immediately after the fight.
Right here.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Super.
Congrats on a great event in Denmark.
Thank
your
you.
debut.
Thank you.
If we can just roll it back a little bit, why did UFC decide to come to Denmark right now? Did you see some fighters, or what was the thought process behind making your debut right now?
Well, we've been trying to come to Denmark for a while. I mean, we talk about this a lot. It's a really difficult puzzle to put the event schedule, event program in place for our sport across all the different countries and continents we go to. We've only got 42 events a year, and we've got a distribution that only allows us a certain number of fights in each region. It's been on our radar for a while. We've known about the size of the fan base. We also have known that the fan base continues to increase. I feel that a lot of the work that has been done by some of the key guys in the region that have been pushing MMA for so long has given us an opportunity now where you're seeing the quality level of the athletes rise pretty considerably. The stars aligned, made sense with Marco Matson, made sense with Dalby coming back. We've obviously got a pretty deep roster of Scandinavian talent outside of Denmark. And it was only a couple of years ago that I think this facility was built. So we kind of felt heading into this week that this was the perfect time to be here. Great time of year. And again, as I said before, stars sort of aligned. It made a lot of sense.
And it was a sellout of the Royal Arena. And there have been some rumors going on that the UFC is planning to come back every 4th year. And you spoke about it earlier, saying that we want to come back. Is that the plan every 4th year, or when are the UFC planning to come back to Denmark? Yeah,
I mean, it's not the plan. It may be sooner. We just don't know. I mean, we are in the process of laying out our EMEA plan for 2020. Well, in fact, our entire global schedule for 2020. We've got a pretty good idea of where we're going to be in Q1 and Q2. We'll probably be able to release a lot of the dates in the coming weeks. But given the success of tonight, we'd love to be back sooner. So, yeah. So 4 years, I mean, potentially. It could be sooner. And, if it doesn't work out well, it could be later. I don't know.
Last one for me. Marco Matson was the co-main event. As you said earlier, he was the biggest star on the card. So why not a performance bonus for him? He had the second quickest finish on the night. Why not?
I mean, I think he was sort of a victim of circumstance, I guess. There's so many electric moments that, I think were sort of justified and suitable for performance. But I don't make that decision. I haven't talked to Sean or Dana about it. He certainly made a case for himself to get one. I think there's a few other individuals that could have, got one as well. I think when you have a card like this that delivers so well for fans in the arena and around the world, sometimes the decisions are pretty tough.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, right here in the back.
Hey, what's up?
You mentioned Norway before, but as of now, MMA is still illegal there. It has kind of a strange status, despite them having a lot of successful talent. What can the UFC do, if anything, to affect that status? Well,
I think the first thing to recognize is a step in the right direction with, I think it was maybe 2 months ago when they came out with the decree that amateur mixed martial arts would be regulated. It might take some time before professional mixed martial arts is, but at least it's a step in the right direction. What can we do? I mean, listen, a lot of the UFC's work needs to and does indeed remain impartial and independent from some of the sports ministry's efforts. But when it comes down to what we're trying to achieve, a lot of it involves education and making sure that, you know, whether it's a sports ministry that doesn't quite understand the sport, they haven't been exposed to it perhaps, we can provide them with, you know, the tools and the data and some of the comparables to help make the decision an informed one and one that can help enact and structure the sport properly in that region. So, I mean, we're encouraged, we're hopeful. There's not many places in the world where mixed martial arts isn't legalized, and we've made a lot of progress in France. If you've been keeping on top of the story, you know, the sports ministry has come out and said they would like to legalize it at some point. They're looking for the proper way to structure the sport in France. And, you know, hopefully we've got something to report early next year. But, we're almost there. So hopefully you can pave the way for an event in Norway at some point down the road.
And next year, how many roundabout events can we expect in Europe, and which ones, which markets do you at least plan on going to 2020?
So we've been public that, you know, heading into 2020, it'll be pretty similar to what we experienced in 2019, where we'll have, you know, a couple events in the UK. We will have a couple events in Russia. We will be back in Abu Dhabi. And that leaves, you know, maybe 3 or 4 other events. If as I mentioned before, if France gets legalized and we're able to hold an event in France, we'd love to be there, because I think the timing of the market, and we've seen it in a bunch of other regions, whether it's, you know, on the kind of state or province level, heading into Melbourne for the original event in Victoria with Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey, or whether we, you know, broke into Ontario with UFC 129 with George and Jake Shields. The pent-up demand that occurs within a region when they haven't had mixed martial arts is significant, and a big first event, when you make that first, you know, good impression, it can have a lasting impact on the opportunity that you've got to build a business in that region. And that's exactly what we felt tonight. Like, we sort of felt, came in, you know, I think made a positive impact in the community, profiling the athletes, delivering a great card to the fan base here. We're confident that we've really opened up a big opportunity for us in Denmark. So there are a few regions that we're still looking for, a few countries that we're still looking for 2019 in the EMEA schedule, but, you know, nothing that we can talk about publicly yet.
And last one for me, is there any way that you can confirm at least plans for a return to Sweden next year?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
No. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks very much. We've been very impressed by all the support and how interested the media's been in you know, telling the story of mixed martial arts and the UFC here in Denmark. So thank you very much. See you next time.